Hello. Hi. Solar Loon here, and welcome to my game development stream. I'm an independent game developer, artist, musician, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, hi. Hello. And it's been a little while since my last stream, roughly a week because I was a little bit busy during the first part of this week, but I'm able to stream now. So hello and welcome to my stream. Thank you very much for stopping by. I am the creator of MasterPlan, which is a project planning software. I heavily recommend people to try it out. Please check out the link in the description and check it out. It's useful for like making games and making tools and stuff like that. So I want to say that up front. But what I'm working on today is a 2D action arcade game, like an arcade kind of game. Yeah, made completely by hand in Golang. Using frameworks like Ebitin or SDL2 or Love 2D, that kind of stuff. It's interesting because people might be like, oh well, it's hard to do that kind of thing. It's not really that hard. It's a lot of fun, and that's what we're going to be doing today, and that's what we are doing right now. This is the game I'm working on called Door Jam. It is a 2D action arcade game where it's kind of similar to Load Runner, where you have to get all the gold in the level, and then it would allow you to leave the level and move on. And then you have enemies that basically are trying to prevent you from doing so. And so it's kind of like a puzzle game, kind of like an action game, all in one. And so the general idea is that you can go through doors, and you can also place doors to allow you to, go in them and out of them like that. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We're going to do a little bit of exploratory stuff, like kind of seeing how the systems should work. What I'd like to do is implement some sort of enemy or some sort of, artificial intelligence that follows you around and tries to attack you. Something I'm considering is moving from Ebitin to SDL2, mainly because of joystick support. I feel like joystick support is going to be a little bit awkward with Ebitin because it's based on GLFW, which currently has a bug with joystick support in it, to the point where basically if I have my 8-bit DOE SNES Pro controller connected in X input mode, it will crash the game. That's annoying, and if I can move over to SDL2, that would be great. But at the same time, I do heavily recommend Ebitin. I think it's a great framework. It's just this particular bug in GLFW is a little bit of a pain. But anyway, hello to everyone in chat. Welcome, and I greatly appreciate your stopping by. How's everything going? So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to try connecting my controllers just so we can kind of see it happen live. If it doesn't happen, that'd be great, but I'm pretty sure it will. Okay, connecting via Bluetooth. Give me a couple seconds. TJK says, yo, what's up? What I miss? Currently, you have missed nothing. I just started, just like 4 minutes ago or so. What I'm trying right now is to connect my SN30 Pro Plus controller, which is this little controller here. Highly recommend it. It's a nice, comfortable, stylish, all black SNES styled controller, but it also has analog sticks and it's got a little grip. It feels very solid. It's a very good controller. Very, very highly recommend it. But yeah, what I'm trying right now, let's see. Is to connect my controller to the game via Bluetooth. For some reason, it's not detecting. Yeah, for some reason it's having trouble connecting to my controller. Okay, well, if I can't make it crash, that's fine. So anyway, what we might be doing today is moving over from Ebitin to SDL2 for that minor issue of just the gamepad making the game crash that periodically happens, or happens all the time. But if I don't have it connected, it never happens. So that's a little bit of an annoying issue that I'd like to see resolved just by moving to a different framework. And it also is good practice for me kind of getting used to SDL2 so that I can move over MasterPlan from Raylib to SDL2. Okay, so it finally connected. Okay, the game didn't crash. That's good. All right, at least that's good news. Let's see. It's definitely not crashing, but it's also definitely not picking up any movement. Let's see what's going on. If it got fixed, that would be fantastic news, because I don't want to have to move everything over if I don't have to, but I feel like I will have to. So let's see here. Let's do this in update. Yeah, it's not, for some reason it's not detecting. Let's try connecting it again. And I don't think it's a battery issue, because I'm pretty sure, there it goes. I'm pretty sure yeah, and this is the core problem that I'm seeing. Invalid button and gamepad mapping for an Xbox One wireless controller. I'm pretty sure it's because this is basically saying it's an Xbox One controller even though it's not, and because it's missing maybe a button, it might be missing. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with the Xbox One controller enough to tell what button is missing. But it might be, according to a user on GitHub on the Ebiton issue for this, it might be because basically the button, there's a different number of buttons. And so that is causing this particular crash, and it's annoying. So if it's possible to fix this, that'd be great. But if not, then we will have to make do with what we got. So yes, hello, thank you for your chat and for your messages, everybody. Yeah, I don't think it's the battery. I think it's properly charged. It's just my Bluetooth not working properly for some reason. I'm on Linux, that is correct. Pop OS, that is correct. Lucretius, hello. And yeah, excellent. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do a quick test here. We actually might be able to do it relatively easily. Doing something like this. We're gonna make a folder. You know what? No, let's not do it that way. Let's do it a proper way. I'm going to make a test to see basically how SDL2 handles gamepads. I've never implemented or interacted with gamepads with SDL2 before, so it'll be useful to kind of see, like, you know, does it detect maybe buttons or what? I could, you know, just brush up a little bit on that. And this is also going to be useful for anyone who's like, you know, how do you even like get started making a game from scratch with a framework? It's pretty straightforward. It's not that hard. So what we're going to do is firstly get some music going, because no music is no fun. Why is it opening? Let's wait. There we go. Yeah, I'm not sure why why it opened my video editor, or a video editor, shortcut. Okay, so we're gonna get some music going. This isn't a fantastic song. It's alright. No. Why is it? Yeah, this is fine. Let's see. Irving Rivas says, have you before you get into the media development, have you ever tried JetBrains Golang instead of VS Code? I did. Before it was paid, when it was like the alpha build that they were like giving out for free for people to try. I remember it working really well. That was like, I don't know, 4 years ago though. So I'm sure it's improved since then, but I haven't really used it since then. But I remember it being like a solid tool. TJK says, yeah, best test project you could do for SDL2 regarding gamepads would just probably be making a simple test from scratch. We can kind of see how it works. Irving Rivas, he won't go without the appropriate song, yeah. The cool one says, quick question, what steps do you take to make your game? Do you build characters first and then design levels around them, or world build first? Well, this game, what I tried, let me pull up MasterPlan. Because that's where my memories for this game are. But yeah, I basically stepped in, started it on like the first stream of, the first time I streamed this process where I was making this particular game. There's a playlist for it. I decided basically I wanted to make a game like Lode Runner. So this is a little different of an approach, because I basically said I want a game exactly like, not exactly like, but a game kind of based on or similar to an existing product. So that makes it easy because I have a general style, I have a general system set where it's like, oh yeah, you can watch a video of the way the game plays to see how things work. In Lode Runner, you can walk on characters' heads, but you can't get touched horizontally or from above by them. You can hang across things, you can climb ladders, you can't jump, so you just fall straight down basically. So that creates a kind of order of operations system where you're trying to figure out like, oh, when do I dig out these, bricks so I can get down in the correct order. It's a very specific set of limitations, and those limitations create a set of systems that really interlink well and create solutions to puzzles for the game. So I want something kind of similar where there's, it's a simple set of rules and they work together well. And so what I came up with was doors, because I didn't want it to just be Lode Runner. Yeah, that's the general idea. So in any case, for this game, what I did was basically base the game off of an existing product, an existing set of mechanics that I personally enjoyed playing, and then go from there. There's other people who do things other ways, where maybe they're like, oh, I want to, make a game about this specific character, or based in this specific world. Those are fine approaches too. There's nothing wrong with that. I just decided to go with this approach because I wanted it to be kind of not palpable, but something people can follow and kind of understand easily and quickly. The cool one says it's beautiful, I guess referring to MasterPlan. Thank you. Okay, so SDL2. So this is pretty straightforward. It is a port, or we have a port rather, of SDL2 called Go-SDL2. And the way that you install it is basically to do this stuff. Well, I guess first you get the requirements and then you install it. So on Linux, you can just install the relevant SDL2 packages. On Windows, you have to download the compiler and download the SDL2 header files, I suppose it is, and do all that, and then you can do this. So this is what we're going to do. We're just gonna, I think I might be able to just copy this and just place that there. And now it's basically grabbing this for our project. We're also going to, yeah, and here it goes. There we go. We're also going to go call go mod init, and this is going to be just like SDL2 Gamepad test. There we go. Cool. And then we're just going to go package main, func main, boom, save. All right, so this should basically just get us, yeah, it compiles. Now what we want to do is basically follow this general system, I guess you could call it. This general approach of basically initializing SDL, creating the window, getting the surface, and then either calling fillRect and drawing commands on the surface, or getting a renderer for the surface and then going from there. So that's their approach. So I'm just gonna keep this over on this other screen here for myself. Let's see. TJK says sometimes you can start a game by literally throwing darts against the wall and seeing what crazy phrase you can come up with. Some crazy system, yeah. For a lot of LD, like Let 'em Dare jam games, people just kind of like, because you don't have time to really work on stuff. You only have a couple of days, people just, you know, get a really quick system or idea down and then go from there. So you can be really, you know, messy with your game dev approach, or you can be very specific. You can base it around a story or around characters or a world or whatever. But if you're trying to go for like it has to be fun, then you probably should focus on that first. So the general idea here, we're just gonna go ahead and call this, and we'll say if I'm just gonna copy this basically. If error is equal to SDL dot init. There we go. Can I get some autocomplete? Oh, that's why. Okay, I have to get this. I forgot. What did I call? That's weird. Did it not? Huh, that's weird. I thought I did. Let's see, let's try this. Yeah, it's weird. Well, anyway, does this run? It does. All right. So what we're gonna do then? So it's initializing. We want to create a window. SDL2 gamepad test. We're just gonna spawn at 0, 0. That's gonna be 320 by 240. That's gonna be small actually. 800 by 600. And can we get SDL window shown and SDL that window resizable. If error is 19 nil, static error. Renderer equals SDL that create renderer window. Or actually, we could probably do create window and renderer. And then we just need the width and height. Okay. So we have window, and then we have the renderer. And then we say if error running true or running or event range or in SDL that full event is nil event is full. Okay. Okay. And then render.present. All right, so this should give us a general like window we can see. It does. Here it is. We can quit it as well. All right. So let's see. The Coolin says, another question on game development as a career or hobby. It could be a career if you want it to be, and if you're good at it. It could also be a hobby if you're, willing to just have it as a hobby. It doesn't have to be a career. It's an art form, but it's also very systems driven. It's kind of unpredictable, but at the same time, if something's good, it does well. It's rare that you see a game that sells well and it's like it's not good. Usually if it sells well, it's because it's good in some respect, right? Like you can't really think of a game that sells well and it's like, there's nothing to it. Like it's completely undistinguishable, it's completely boring, it's completely derivative. Like usually if something sells, there's a reason for it. So I think that it's hard to do game development, it's hard to make games, but I think that with the right mindset, with the right approach, with the right determination, and with time, you can definitely make something and have it either be a career for you or just even just create something and finish it. Like a lot of people struggle with. A lot of people struggle to finish things, even that they're trying to make a career out of. So if you just approach it as a hobby but get it finished, that's a huge step up in my book. Let's see, Hinlo, yeah, sup, Big Reggie, how's it going? TJK says a good start. Yeah, it's a good start. It's a good start. So this is good. So now what I'd like to do, let's take a look here to see what they have. So they have joystick, get device, product, get, okay, so they have some joystick stuff. They also have game controllers. Let's try this. Alright, so it knows that the controller that's connected is indeed a game controller. If I, let's actually get some more information about this. Let's say game controller open. Alright, so that's what we're looking for. 0. Okay, so this is controller dot. Okay, so now you have joystick, you have bind for axis, bind for button, bind for axis. Bind for axis returns the joystick layer binding for a controller button mapping. Attach axis. So at least it works. So that's probably a step in the right direction. Let's try just seeing like controller button. Oop, okay. Oh, whoops. Okay, so SCL game controller get button from string. Internally, it's called internally to translate game controller mapping strings for the underlying joystick device into the consistent game controller mapping. You do not necessarily or normally need to call this function unless you're parsing it in your own code. Okay, so basically, I don't need to do this, but I can do this. Okay. So if I understand the general idea is that basically internally you can do something to get like the X button, the equivalent of the X button on the controller. Let's see what this does. All right, so this is what we're looking for. A, B, X, Y. All right, so basically you can do like this. Oops. What's it? Controller. Hold on, I'm messing something up. Okay, controller, button A. Let's try this. Yeah, that's right. So on my controller, this is B because this is a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. So this is B, this is A. Let me be a little closer. This is B, this is B, this is A, this is X, and this is Y. But because this is trying to be an Xbox One controller, and it's supposed to be like, you know, what's the word? Cross-platform. It's supposed to be cross-compatible. It says this is A, which is a fine compromise. And as you can see, as I press it, it goes from 0 to 1. This is exactly what we need. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. And I think that this is very good. I like this. You know, it's not perfect. It's not fantastic, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. So we will be using SDL we'll be migrating our Load Runner game over to SDL2, which is going to be good practice for our for MasterPlan, because it's like a huge thing that I need to migrate, and this is a lot simpler to do. TJK says usually you need to check something like joystick device added first. If you don't recognize that event, SDL doesn't think to register your controller. Joystick switch is a lower level than gamepads. As for why there's joysticks and gamepads, Yeah, gamepads emulate Xbox 360 controllers closely, but for controllers that don't match that scheme, joysticks are better. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is just we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna do it. So we no longer are gonna be calling Ebitin run game. We're gonna keep new game. That's fine. We don't call Ebitin here. We're gonna actually comment that out so I remember to do this later. The window is gonna be visible. Something I did that I like. Well, let me see. Hold on. Okay, I was gonna say something I did in MasterPlan. TJK says press F for Ebitin. Yeah, can we get an F in the chat for Ebitin? Highly recommend the framework. Really do. It really is just because of GLFW's like gamepad bug that it currently has. That it's just like, well, let's just go with SDL2. I need more practice with that anyway to go ahead and work with MasterPlan. So it's a sensible decision, I think. But the thing that I kind of liked about something I was doing in MasterPlan in my efforts to migrate everything over, I made a global variable called globals that held all of my globals in one place in a struct, so that I could like have control over or just kind of see when they're being used. And it's not like variables are just kind of existing in the ether. It's all stored in one place. I like that idea, but I already have it so that globals or things are being singletons, I guess you could say, are being passed around relevant places. So like the game reference is being passed into making a new level, and then making a new level, you know, it passes the level into the camera, and you know that's fine. Like even though there's only going to be one game at a time in this game, and there's only going to be one level at a time in this level, or rather in this game, you know, it's fine to kind of do this the correct way. So we're good. Okay, so the general idea is we're gonna call SDL.init. And we definitely want to call this there we go. Okay, there we go. So we want to call SDL.init, SDL.init everything. Window renderer error equals SDL.create window and renderer. This is going to be, let's see. So in our previous struct, we stored the width and height directly on the game struct. So maybe we could make it set the game. Let me think. So I'm thinking that the game, we call new game, it creates the window and renderer, and then we just call game.update in a for loop. So yeah, we're just gonna kind of crib Ebitin's design. We're gonna crib it a little bit. We're gonna crib it a little bit here. We're gonna call init. We're gonna do this. Well, no, it doesn't quite fit in the same system that we're developing. Like, you know, the event system is manually handled as opposed to Ebitin's event system. So that we're not gonna do it directly. We will just kind of play it by ear. Okay, so we're creating the window and renderer and checking to see if an error happens. We want to panic in that situation. Otherwise, we want to loop like so. Through switch. So that whole event, or rather for event. Let's see. No. All right, so this should give us the general flow that we had previously. We want to call renderer.present, and we also want to have control. I guess we don't need the window right now. Let's go with 800 by 600. We want the window to be resizable. We don't need the window right now. Okay, so this should at least give us a blank window. I'm not sure why. I'm trying to see when Abington is being like called, because we're not directly calling it, but like we're not directly interacting with it, but we must be. Okay, so let's do this. Let's definitely do just like let's do target. Yes. Let's see. TJK says, do you know if Abington can be fed a window context? If so, the simplest thing to do is to pass the SDL window to Abington as a context. This is how it handles that OpenGL. No, I don't believe so. Maybe, but I don't believe so. I don't think it's externally available. Also, Lucretius, I missed your comment. I think it's pronounced Ludum Dare. I'm not sure if you're saying Dare or Dar. I guess Dare, and not Ludum Dare. Ludum Dare. So rather than Ludum Dare, it's Ludum Dare. That makes more sense, yeah. A big red G says no more Godot. For now, yeah. For now, no more Godot. Yo, oh my goodness, Krzysztof Malinowski has donated 10 PLN. Thank you very much. I'm not sure what unit of money that is, but I really do appreciate the effort. Thank you. I wasn't expecting that. Thanks a lot. I'm just like, I'm shocked. But yeah, I really do appreciate that, and hopefully I'll be able to keep working on stuff, and yeah, I really do appreciate it. Ah, okay. All right, so let's go with something like this. Time is going to be float 32. Level, we're gonna just like, well, that's right, I had an Abington renderer, so we're gonna have to make our own renderer for that. That's fine. Oops. You know what, let's just straight up comment out this entire thing. And then we'll just slowly like bring everything back bit by bit. Okay. Because we still have to kind of figure out how we're going to do this system. All right. This is fine. This is not fine. We don't want an Abington image. We'd rather have an SDL texture. So this would be as texture. TJK says 2 hours in, Solarwind has taken it upon himself to rewrite Ebuton to use SDL2 as the new backend. Yeah, that's exactly how this is gonna go. Exactly how this is gonna go. Tile image, we don't need this anymore. I'm trying to see exactly where. Oh, it must be here. Let's nuke all that. We don't need keybindings right now. I'm trying to see where. This doesn't have the Ebuton in it. This does have Ebuton in it. Take an SDL texture, bring it on surface. I'm close. I believe I'm close. I gotta just continue pulling it out, all the stuff that has Ebuton. Why is Ebuton? Oh, this is why. Okay. We don't want this. We want to rather call image. We want to get this. We want to call it oh, that's why. Image dot load source path, save. It returns an SQL service and an error. Identifier. Loaded image. We don't need to do that. All right, we'll try this and see if this works, but if it doesn't, that's fine. Yo, let's go. Okay, so what we're gonna do here, Music Boy J Boy, hello. Hey, how's it going? So now what we want to do is basically define how does our game interact with the main loop, because we have to go through the main loop, right? So this is really all part of the initialization of the game, and then this is the internal framework, the event loop. So what we'll do, we'll just put everything in the game because it doesn't make sense not to. So we'll take this stuff and put it into this area. You know what? Let's do it like this. We will store the renderer here. TJK says it's usually recommended to have your game loop come in after the SDL event loop, or rather the update code of the game loop. Yeah, so it makes it. I feel like it's wiser to put the engine, or maybe that's what we need is an engine, and then the game is running in the engine. Yeah, this is probably fine. So we're creating the window and the renderer. SDL dot, or actually we leave a window here, so we can say window dot title. Okay, we're gonna store the renderer as well. Window, okay. Okay, so now the game kind of represents everything, right? That makes sense. Can we get the size? We can get the size of the window, which means we no longer need the screen width and height. Or actually, no, we still need the width and height. It's just going to be instead of the screen width and height, it's going to be the field or the game width and height. Oops. All right. What's up? Renderer declared but not used. Declare name open asset. Let's undeclared name resource. Source is right here. That's weird. Hold on, I think it's kind of tripping. Hold on, let me restart this. Butler Studio says, "Hey Solar, the Latin Ludum Dare is it this weekend. Have you ever participated in it? I have tried, but I failed. As I recall." It's undefined. Oh, okay. Okay, so we have game.render.present. So yeah, this is gonna go in here in the game update loop. So we're gonna call game new game, and then we just say for game.update. Or I guess, yeah, we'll just call it game.update. I guess we could just call it like game.run. Yeah, game.run. So running is true, and then while it's running, we do the main loop, which is going to be this. It doesn't return an error anymore. We just say running is true, and then while it's running, we present the thing, and then we basically have our game update loop here. Actually, present should be down here. All right, so this is a good start. Good start. Good start. Okay, cool. All right. Butler Studio says, I failed like 4 out of 5 I've participated in. Yeah, it's hard, dude. It's hard to do game development in general, but also just like trying to do Keybindings. Also trying to do let them dare. Like, it's just tough. TJK says, also your SCL window will likely need to swap windows. It employs double buffering at the very end of your game loop. Doesn't the renderer do that? I think the renderer.present does this. SDL's rendering, here, let me bring this over. SDL's, here we go. SDL's rendering functions operate on a back buffer. That is, calling a rendering function such as SDL render draw a line does not directly put a line on the screen, but rather updates the back buffer. As such, you compose your entire scene and present the composed back buffer to the screen as a complete picture. Therefore, when using SDL's rendering API, one does all drawing intended for the frame and then calls this function once per frame to present the final drawing to the user. Yeah. Should be considered invalidated after each present. Do not assume that previous contents will exist between frames. Okay. So TJK was basically saying, like, you have to implement a double buffer or a back buffer. SDL does that for you, so we don't have to worry about it. But we do have to clear. That's right. So we will clear. Yeah, key bindings. So now the key binding system, something I need to look up real quick. As far as I know, I'm looking off screen right now. Hold on. Okay. So this is, I think, the closest we can basically get to, like, has a key just been pressed? You know, what's the current? Well, basically, there's only, as far as I know, there's only 2 ways to know whether a key is pressed. Either you check an event and set, you know, an array or something, or a map, of keys with that value, or you use SDL get keyboard state, which basically gives you an array of all the keyboard keys. So it's like, either way, you're not really going to... Hold on. Hold on, I have to take a little bit of a break. I have to go do something, not a break, but I just have to go outside. TJK says, I would say implementing your own map and array is much cleaner in the long run. Yeah, probably so. It seems logical. I'll probably do that. But yeah, I'll be right back. Give me a couple seconds, real quick. I've returned. I don't know why it does this. Anyway. Well, I know why it does this. Alright, anyway. I'm back. Hi. So, yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to implement everything ourselves, like everything else with this game. Which is fine. It's not that hard. Let me just get a switch of... There we go. That's yes. That's solid. All right, so we are clearing, we're presenting, our drawing goes in between here, our update goes before drawing, and we have to update our key bindings, which is going to be done here. Now, unknown field, that's what we're missing. So now let's go back over to key bindings, which are over here. We don't actually want to use all of these, but the general idea is pretty solid, pretty much as you'd expect. So the way the key binding system works is, hold on, let me think. So we want to implement a keyboard system of some description first, because there is no keyboard system. And then we can read that for the key binding system. Yes, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'm like, the gears are turning. All right. So yeah, we have to make it basically a keyboard, to represent a keyboard. So before we even do a key bindings, we want to do a keyboard, which is just going to be a pointer to a keyboard. Keyboard. We're going to pass in. We don't need to pass in the game. We can just do this. Does that make sense? You know what? Let's not overcomplicate it. A keyboard is just the more, at least our implementation of the keyboard is just going to be basically a map of SDL key codes to integers. Really just booleans, but you know, whether it's pressed or not, that's it. The key binding system is going to allow us to say, like, was it just pressed? Has it been pressed? You know, was it just released? That kind of stuff is like additional information. But a keyboard is just basically what key is down, and that's it. So actually, to make this simpler, we're gonna make this a type, but it's not gonna be a struct. It's just going to be this, a map of key codes to booleans, and then we can add additional functions that basically allow you to get a key and see if it's been pressed or not. So that's what we're gonna do. Package name. Type keyboard is just a map of SDL key codes, or key sims, no, key codes to booleans. And we're going to say new keyboard, which returns a keyboard. All right, cool. This is going to be a keyboard. And then when we go to here, where we're actually like, you know, checking to see like, oh, was a, you know, keyboard pressed? This is where we get into it. So we say if key event is equal to event dot SDL dot keyboard event. So basically, we're casting the generic event to a keyboard event, and then we want to know basically what key is pressed, which is the sim. We don't care about mod, pretty much. I don't believe we care too much about mod. We just want to basically know what key was pressed, and that's kind of it. Maybe state as well. Repeat, timestamp, type. Yeah, that's kind of it. So we'll say if key event dot type is equal to SDL key down, then we're just going to say game dot keyboard key event key sim equals true, else it's false. That's literally it. That's it. And then I'm going to print it out so we can actually see if it works. Okay. Immediately crashed. So, because the map is nil. That's my bad. Yeah, so keyboard, we actually have to make the keyboard. Cool. It's laggy because this is printing out like a million times a second. Because we didn't implement a like timing loop. I completely forgot about that. I'm not gonna lie. So what we'll do this in Go because it doesn't make sense to use SDL's sleep function because that's just gonna call the C function for sleep, which does, you know, we can do this in Go. Do this part in Go. So the general idea is we want to wait until basically sleep until we don't need to sleep anymore, right? So, oh, Rashad Z says, yo, hello. So time or, actually, I think I implemented something like this before. trying to think of how we want to approach this. Let's make a type for, well, let's deal with that in a second. Cool, so this is working. Yeah, okay. So it's definitely working. So what we want to do now is basically be able to tell if a key is down. The reason why we made this a type is because now we can say this. There, that's it. That's the reason why. That's the entire. Why do I have so many? Hold on, I have so many stuff open. Let's close on this. Yeah, so that's the entire reason why we went through that process. Now we can just basically say key down, for example, STL that W. This should basically tell us if we're pressing W or not, and we are no longer pressing W. Cool. That's it. A Big Red G says, have you considered making your own game engine editor? I've thought about it a little bit, but I've never gotten far enough in a game where I needed it. You know, I've never gotten far enough in a game that I was making by hand where I needed it. Like, if I needed to make my own editor, it would be because like I'm doing cutscenes. Like at that level, it's like I need some sort of editor. Maybe not like a map editor, but just the ability to place objects and kind of like, you know, animate back and forth and all that stuff. TJK says, but first it must be implemented with the SDL2 backend. But first, you know what? Godot is pretty good, but I feel like it's lacking. So I'm gonna go ahead and implement SDL2 in Godot so that I can have a editor running in Godot in an editor. Like that's it. Everything has to come back to the SDL2 editor. So we still need some sort of timing element. So let's go ahead and make a timer, which should be relatively simple. It's not that hard. Should not be that hard. It's going to be a struct that basically has now, which is a time value, and then that's kind of it for now. I guess running would be good. All right, actually, instead of now, it should be start. New timer. Timer. Oh. True. And stop. And it's false. Stop time. I know that there's a time like ticker, so maybe we don't have to do this. Let's see. Yeah, there's a ticker. I wonder if we could use a ticker. Watch it. Shut it down. The other idea cannot be recovered. Okay. Oh, I see. It creates a new ticker. Okay. So I could create a ticker. Well, the general idea. Let me explain what I need to do. So normally in a game engine or game framework, the framework handles your timing for you. So when you say like, oh, I want it to run 60 FPS, the game engine or framework will be like, okay, I'll display at 1/60th of a second, essentially. SDL2 is like, you do it. So that's what we're doing. Now the general idea is we could just go ahead and be like, I am making my own timer here, but it might be better to just basically make a time dot ticker and basically run this every 60th of a second. But the thing is, we don't know how long it takes for a frame to display, because it could take a 60th of a second, it could take 100th of a second. So we need to basically pause for the difference. That's the hard part. Adam P says, "Hey Solar, I've been listening to the Gear OST while working for the last couple of weeks. If you ever remade it, do you think you'd add some areas for the unused tracks? Lasting growth is yes." Thank you. Yeah, I probably would. If I were to remake it, I probably would remake everything. I would remake the, obviously the art and the graphics and all that stuff, but also like where you go, what you do, the areas in the game. I would remake the songs. I'd remake, all of it. So I don't know if it would have as many songs, but I also feel like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I would make more areas for the unused tracks, or maybe combine tracks for existing areas. So instead of having, for example, if there's 5 areas or 6 areas in the game currently, and let's say 5 unused tracks, rather than having 10 total areas, it might be better to just combine the unused tracks into existing areas. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. TJK says, 3 months in, Solar Moon, fed up with the inferiority of Pop! OS, has now embarked on re-implementing the kernel to use SDL2 exclusively. SDL has a high resolution timer as well, but I don't know if it's needed for door jam. Yeah, I don't think we need that fine fidelity. We should be fine with just normal timing elements. It's just going to run basically a 60th of a second. And we don't want to just like pause the game for a 60th of a second, because we don't, again, know how long it takes for the time to work. So the general idea is that basically I'm gonna pseudocode this. We call basically timer start here. We call timer stop here, and then we basically call timer sleep here. And basically the sleep is the difference between timer start minus timer stop minus 1/16. So basically, or no, it would be 1/16 minus this. So this kind of works, right? Because we basically say measure how long this takes for us to run through clearing the screen, drawing everything, updating everything, drawing everything, presenting everything. Then once we get that information, we can then sleep for the difference between a 60th of a second, which is 60 frames per second, minus how long it took. So if it took, let's say we're going for 1 frame a second, and it took half a second, then we want to sleep for half a second. That's it. That's the goal. Adam P says, either way works. Yeah. It's something I'd have to consider. I think that if I get to the point of remaking Gearand, I'll like really go into thought about like what would be in the game and how it would work. Butler says, don't you need to check if it's greater than it? Handle the negative? You are correct, now that I think about it. I think the correct way to do this, that I'm not considering, is to accumulate a number. Dang, I have to look it up. I don't remember how this works. Game loop. Shouldn't try to limit the FPS. Take your delta time. This is not probably. It's usually done by saving the time at the end of the loop and then calculating the difference at the end, and sleeping or looping, doing nothing for that duration. Article. I'll have to think about it. I gotta see if I can find it. find the information that says how this works. I don't quite remember how it works. All right, here's an article, gameprogrammingpatterns.com /game loop, which says, DJK says, 4 months in, with the newly revamped Pop OS, Solar Loon embarks on a grand remake of Gearind, this time with a shiny new SDL2 backend. Exactly. All right, so you want your game to run at 60 FPS, 16 milliseconds per frame. As long as you can reliably do all of your game processing and rendering in less than that time, you can run at a steady frame rate. All you need to do is process the frame, then wait until it's time for the next one, like so. Code looks like this. That's what I was initially thinking. Start, and then basically sleep for the difference between start plus how long you have, or how long you're aiming for, and then subtract the current time. Let's try something a bit more sophisticated. Each update advances game time by a certain amount. It takes a certain amount of real time to process that. Step 2 takes longer. More than 16 milliseconds of time in a single step. Then we can update the game less frequently and still keep up. So this is delta time. The game plays at a consistent rate on different hardware. Players with faster machines are rewarded with smoother gameplay. Play catch up. Stuck in the middle. Oof. So this is complicated. Of course. Anything that you can do is complicated. I feel like I'm gonna go with this because it's straightforward and our game is simple enough where we shouldn't really have a problem with like timing, where it's like, oh yeah, your game is lagging on my machine. It's like, this is a 2D game that draws 7 sprites at a time. I don't feel like it should be lagging on anybody's machine. And if it lags, it's no big deal. Like, I feel like if it lags on someone's machine, it's because their machine is super duper slow. It's not because or the game needs to be optimized, rather than it being like, oh well, we should have gone with the non-deterministic update loop that changes and stuff. Like, I think we can do this. So we would just want to get the I'm thinking, hold on. Technically I don't need a timer for this. All right, so this should be generally what we're looking for. So we have target FPS, which is going to be 60. We have the FPS timer, which is a timer. We will start the timer. And let's see how this works. So actually we started it already, didn't we? Yeah, it's running. So let me think. So we're starting the timer. I guess there's two ways to do this. One way is to do what I just described, where basically we start it, we stop it. Well, we start it here, we stop it here, and then we sleep for the difference between a 60th of a second and what we're hitting. Another option is to start the timer such that it is like, what if we set like a target? So we say like, oh, the FPS timer is aiming for 60, right? Like 1/60 seconds. 1/60 seconds. And then we like measure this, and then we call timer.sleep, which sleeps for the difference. There's no reason for us to do anything like that. This is fine. There's no reason for us to have a timer. This is let's just do this as simple as possible. Start is time.now, and then we just call time.sleep, time.now since start 1/60 minus 60 minus that. Game that target FPS. No. FPS. Yes, this is a full input 2. Okay, that's fine. We don't need a timer. Because, I mean, like, the more you complicate something, the harder it is to deal with it later. If we need a timer, we can always make a timer. But Go has time stuff in it, so we can make use of that. There's no reason to make it more complicated than it needs to be. So this doesn't work because it's not a duration. 1/game FPS. So this should be this should be float 32. This should be time duration. All right, so this should generally be what we're looking for, I think. All right, so there's no way to tell if it's working or not. Let's try this. Actually, no, let's try. Let's see. Last equals state. Let's see. And I use this duration, float 64. We want it in seconds. So elapsed is this. We want to sleep for elapsed. One over. Yeah, it's definitely not right. Let's see. Let's do it like this. Let's make it so that the target FPS is 1, so we kind of can see. Okay. Alright, it definitely seems like it's working in some way. Ignacio Alencar says, is this GD native? No, it's Go. Like a Big Red G says. This is Golang. I'm working with Go right now. All right, so this is working elapsed. Okay, time since start. So it's just picoseconds between starting up here and between when we get the elapsed time since. Okay, so then we want to basically sleep. So this is how long we sleep. Let's see how this goes. Okay. 76 picoseconds, and then we sleep for 999 milliseconds, basically the difference. So if we say we want 2 FPS, yeah, now it's not working at all. And I think it's because this is off. 1 over the FPS, 1 over 2, okay, 0.5. Multiply that by time.second. How long we sleep? It's negative. Why is it negative? Let's see. 1.0. Okay, that's right. 0.5. Oh. Alright, that was weird. Time, second. Zero. Okay, that's what's going on. So 0.5. Oh. Wait, hold on. I think I'm on like the cusp of figuring this out. Yeah. Yeah, the problem is that we can't multiply like 0.5. So, okay. Okay, I think I got it. So we want to basically take this and multiply it by 1,000. Better, I don't need this anymore. Better. 500 nanoseconds. So not that second. But we can't do that because it's duration. TJK says, do you think we could Google the formula for the timing? I think the formula is correct. It's just basically dividing 1 by the target FPS, which is in this case 2. We're just starting off with something simple we can see. That works. It ends up with 0.5. It's weird. We end up with 0.5. But when we multiply, when we turn that into a time.duration, it's an N64, and so it gets truncated. What we want to do is multiply this before we turn it into a time duration. But how do we do that? Common durations. There is no definition for units of day or larger. To count the number of units in a duration, divide. Time.second divided by time.millisecond. To convert an integer number to a duration, multiply. So maybe we need to divide time.second by time.millisecond, which is, well, it's just 1,000. So what if we did this? So this is basically the per ms per frame. It's this. We multiply this by 1,000. Like once we get it, we can kind of like simplify it and combine them again. 500. So 500 milliseconds per frame. There we go. Yeah, now that I'm like looking at it, it's not that hard to understand. Okay, so this basically is what we're looking for. Wait. Let's actually see that. There we go. So, we don't need this anymore. There. So it's taking like 70, 60, 150 picoseconds to do this, to clear and present basically. And we are sleeping for 499 milliseconds. So that's correct. So now if we say, for example, we want 10 frames per second, it should sleep for, yeah, roughly 100 milliseconds. It's good. And they seem to be pretty linked together pretty well. If it takes 2 milliseconds to do our update loop, then it takes basically 97 milliseconds, a little under, well, yeah, 98 milliseconds to sleep. Yeah, this is good. It's working. All right, so this is actually pretty simple. I would like the time to be correct. Delta. We're gonna assume that delta's just always going to be this for now. Really, it should be tied to like how long it takes to actually do this update loop, but for now this is fine. All right, so now what we need to do, now that we have the keyboard working, we have the update, like, you know, the update loop working. Now what we can do is go ahead and get the keybindings back up and running. So to do that, we just go ahead and uncomment out all this stuff. This is fine. Update. All right, so instead of everything, it's just going to be rather we have to basically look at the keyboard, which is going to be a little tough because we actually have to well, here's the thing. I would like to not have to pass the keyboard around, just like I don't want to have to pass gamepads around. All right, we'll just do it like this. No, wait, that doesn't... Like, I don't want to have to pass a game to the inputs so that they can check the global value, because the global value is always there. Like, there's no point in passing it because it can't be altered, right? Like, there's no... Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's do it that way. Okay, so... the keyboard will be global. We're gonna rename this from keyboard to just globals. Type globals, struct keyboard. There we go. So we have the keyboard in here, and then when we go to main, when we want to actually interact with the keyboard, we just call globals.keyboard like that. Then we can go to, we can actually create a new key binding here, and then we can, this is all the same, this works fine. But we go to, for example, keyboard input, we take and set an SDL key code, and then Pull is just going to return globals.keyboard key down key.key. All right. All right, so that should generally get generally get it working here. Keybindings, yeah, we no longer need a game reference. All right, so now we should be able to basically do something like this. Up, okay. So this should basically let us know if we're pressing up. It crashed because keyboard is still a nil map. Keyboard. There we go. Oh, whoops. Oh, W. Not working. That's fine though, because we can figure it out. So action down, up. Up is here, okay. All right, let's see. Everybody needs to add up. It's weird, this should be working. Is this not being called? Oh, it's because I forgot to call load. Okay. There we go. Cool. Okay. Nice. Now we can let's move on. Now we can do the gamepad button input, which is going to take an SDL gamepad or game controller. Now now this is going to be a little different because basically we don't want stuff. Because basically, in order for us to work with this, we need to pass in something. I guess we would. Let's see. Let's just try this. Controller is SDL.controller. Game controller open. So we open a game controller, we get an index, right? And then we can check like axes directly, we can check buttons directly. Yeah. So this is going to return bits, right? Because the button returns the current state is greater than 0. So we could do something like that. Now the controller, we need to Sweepstakes says, "What's his GitHub?" It's not in my. Oh, I guess it's not. It's not in my description. My bad. It's just SolarLoon, but here you go. There we go. Since we have to pass around the game controller, so maybe it would be best to put that in globals. That way, we don't have to like because I mean, you know, it might be where different controllers, you know, are passed around and stuff like that. It seems like seems logical to put it in the globals thing here. So let's do that. So controllers. It's gonna be a list of basic SDL controllers. We'll make a list. Like so. And then here we just return globals.gamecontrollers 0 dot button, like that. Then we don't have to actually store, well, we can store the ID as an integer, and the button can be a SDL controller thing. That, and then we just return basically the ID, which is an integer. We got the button, which is SDL.gameController button. Okay, and then we just basically say if button.id is less than length globals.gamecontrollers. And this, otherwise we return false. Butler Studio says, whoa, MasterPlan is open source. It's not open source. Sorry, I was looking down. It's not really open source. The source is just available, so people can look at it, they can build it, they can improve upon it, they can submit changes, but it's not open source like MIT license. I still own the license, the rights to the code. Why is this not? Oh, it's just called controllers. Okay. All right, and then we don't take that. We instead pass button.button. Okay. That should work. It was a little complicated. No, but not too bad. So now what we want to do is we want to monitor. I'm not sure if oh, hold on. Hold on for a second. Alright, that was unnecessarily complicated, but we're here. I'm not sure if there's a callback. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's a callback. It just seems like you get the controller and that's kind of it. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's like connected or anything like that, or disconnected. Pardon me, disconnected. Unless I'm just missing it. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's there, which is fine. So, let's see, how do we want to approach this? Let's say we are just going to use the first controller. That's, I guess, to be expected. So we just say basically yeah, actually, I guess if it doesn't seem to work there's no functions to tell if a controller is like just connected or disconnected, then we'll just on load set the information, set the game controller. And there might be multiple multiplayer, I guess. So we'll leave this as an array, although I'm not sure if there will be. Okay, so globals.gameControllers equals append, and we'll pass in there see all that game controller open 0. Let's see, does it actually, or null if an error occurred? Okay, so if blank controller is not equal to nil, then put it in there. All right, so this is still working. We can set this to be 60 FPS. Okay. All right. So we don't need this anymore. We can now go with this. It's no longer. Take it down. Right. Okay, left. Okay, X. Okay, C. Keyboard input that does exist. Gamepad access input does not exist. Okay. Pardon me. This is now probably XB. So SDL dot game controller X button X controller B. Access input, that's an X, which is here. We will take just the ID, which is an integer. Access directing dead zone, that all seems fine. And poll is just going to be like globals dot controllers. Let's see. Pardon me. If button ID, if access ID is less than length, okay. It's not happening. Access. Access. This should be that controller access. E is an int. Access is an SDL controller. Access, okay. Okay, cool. So then we just say if the access is greater than 0, or rather access value equals this. What does it return? Int 16, okay. This value, dead zone. Let's see, an int 16, yeah, okay, -3, got it. All right, so times all right, so that should generally get the job done. not sure why this is tripping so hard. Okay, so we're good. We're good. We're doing pretty good. So we're updating. We're clearing. Keybinding should still be working. Wow, it's already almost been 2 hours. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little lost in the sauce. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little lost in the sauce. Oh, pardon me. But things are going pretty good now. Things are going not too shabby. All right. Let me restart this because for some reason it's not working properly. The linting was like all messed up. Yeah, give me that clearing. All right. I feel a little less lost in the sauce. All right, so this is working, I believe. We can test this by trying it out. So we'll just say we want to print out Keybindings, action down, right. All right. So that's working. No crash when I connect my controller, of course. Yo, let's go. I'm gonna try something. I want to see if there's no way that this is gonna work, but so I'm connecting it after I started the game. Yeah. Okay, so it does have to start. I could probably load the like do this mid-run. You know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's see how this goes. All right, cool. So oh, that's right, yeah. Never mind. This won't work. I don't believe this will work, but let's go ahead and see. All right, that does work. Yeah, it still thinks it's connected. I turned it off. I'm testing. Oh, Lucretia says, I've come and gone. What are you up to right now, Solar? Right now I'm implementing input. So, okay, that does work. Oh, but it won't work because... No, that should work. Okay. Alright, that's okay. We don't have to implement this right now. I feel like this could work, but there's no reason to take more time on it than necessary. But yeah, I'm doing input stuff. So this is working. We'd like to be more specific than this, though. So can we do like an STL roller axis left X? Y? Or no, left X, left Y. The D-pads are buttons too. Let's see, bind type axis, bind type button, bind type hat. Okay. Now I wonder if I can, maybe this is what they were kind of referring to. When it comes to binding, can you bind, returns the joystick layer. Okay, so for example, if we wanted to bind controller axis left X. Hat. Hat returns hat map for this joystick layer binding. Oh, no. I see. Okay. I see how what this is. Okay. Alright, never mind. We're good. Wait, can I make it rumble? Can I make the controller rumble? Yo, it rumbled. That's so sick, dude. That's so cool. Okay. All right. Maybe we'll have to add rumble in there somehow sometime. Okay, so this is good though. This is good. So this is working. We want to add like D-pad support, so this should be also a gamepad button input. And it's just going to be controller hat. Oh no, button. D-pad. Up. Up, down. Right. All right. Yo, let's go. Fantastic. I'm no longer lost in the sauce. Lucretius says, and I already know I'm mispronouncing it because I read the message. In case you were wondering, my alias is pronounced Lucretius. Lucretius, not Lucretius. But I don't mind the way you pronounced it. It makes sense in English. That's how I pronounce it sometimes too. Okay, Lucretius. All right. Understandable. All right, so this is good. This is good. To go from a working game to a black window, it's a little bit of a dark day. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little discouraging, but hey, we can make our controller rumble, and that's all we need to do is make the controller rumble. All right. So if we can do this, we can do anything. So let's go ahead and let's get cracking. So we want to make the new level, bring back the level rather. We don't need this. We don't need this. You know what? We're going to re-implement this manually like this. We're just going to say game.keybindings.add restart game keyboard input STLKR debug KF1 debug is up there, yeah. Game.keybindings.action thrust restart game level is a new level. Pardon me. All right, so this is gonna be a little hairy, but it should be doable. It should be doable. I'm immediately regretting my decision. Looking at draw shadow, I'm like, oh wait, this is like super Ebiton. All right. All right. Nothing to do but nothing to it but to do it. Nothing to it but to do it. So we won't have a renderer for now. Let's get the camera back up because we'll need to at some point. This is all fine. This is no longer screen width and height. It's game width and height. Translate, it's going to take in 32 and return 2 in 32s instead. X and Y are going to be in 32s. Target X and Y are also in 32s. These could actually be floats, I suppose. Lucretius says, cracks knuckles, let's code. And also, have you played Celeste? If you did you notice how nice the rumble it was? I thought it was nice. I never played it. I've never played Celeste. I know it's super popular and people really liked it, but I just never got into it. Or I never picked it up. So like, I've not been a huge fan of like precision platformers. So it's like, I have like Super Meat Boy, but I never like beat it. It's fun, but it's frustrating. It's just like, you know what? It's hard. That's basically my experience. So I never got into Celeste. Alright, so this is all the same. Translate X. Okay, this needs to be a flow. Let's see. X. Wait, why did I? Yeah, I should just make it so that this. Yeah, this was stupid of me. Hold on. I can just make these float 32s. Pardon me. Lucretius says, what types of games do you like or have you played recently then? Super Smash Brothers. I like EDF 5. I got into that recently a lot. 32. Yeah, EDF 5 is just a lot of fun. It's stupid fun. I like it. Also, Craftopia. That's a nice, fun early access game. Lots of fun there. Yeah, there's a few games I play, but it varies. Also, Baba Is You, lots of fun. It takes a lot of brain power to like work your way through it. Main. Yeah, did I? No? Okay. Alright, so we're not going to use this anymore. This is all fine. We don't have objects anymore because we have to remake them. That's texture. Okay. Rather than, let me go back to resources. Rather than returning just a texture, we're gonna return an image. That is a custom struct that basically is a pair. Lucretius says, "You're the Smash guy." Yeah, I am a Smash guy. And he looked up those games as recommendations. Yeah, EDF5 is a lot of fun. It's just dumb fun, dude. It's just giant bugs, and you're trying to fight them off as a member of like the Earth Defense Force. And it's just like you have rocket launchers and like machine guns and just a whole bunch of like advanced weaponry and like mech suits and stuff just to fight off these bugs. And it's just like it feels like a PS2 game in the best possible way. It feels like the kind of game that they simply don't make anymore. And yet this game came out like 4 years ago, like 2017, I think, 2018, something like that, on like PS4, I think. And it's insane that like it's still, somebody made the game. Does it have co-op? Yes, it has co-op. It's online and offline co-op. It's insane. Split screen. It's like the most. It feels like a relic from the past in the best possible way. It feels like, I think I've seen the box in the store, 10 years ago when I was, buying games for, I don't know, my Wii U, or, like I feel like I've seen it before, and I just glossed over it because I'm like, Earth Defense Force, what's that? Like I never picked it up, but I would wholeheartedly recommend it. It's such a, it's such a like fun game, and it's very, very gamey. It's very gamey. It feels like a video game. There's not really a whole bunch of stories or cutscenes or anything like that. It's just pure fun. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, here we go. We're gonna make an image struct that basically is a texture, but then also the associated surface, so that we can basically see like, oh, how big is the image, as an example. We can still store that information. Lucretia says, "What's your review for Craftopia?" A lot of fun. Early access game. Feels like Zelda in some ways. Like the graphics are kind of similar. The art style. It's kind of like Minecraft in that you can build your house and stuff like that. It's not as fine, and you can't do as much in you can't do as much in Craftopia as you can in Minecraft. But I feel like the combat is a little bit better. But I feel like the dungeons aren't as interesting. But I feel like the skills are more interesting, but I feel like not all of them are equal. It's kind of all over the place, but I love it. Like I love how all over the place it is. I think it's a lot of fun to like have a huge skill tree where you can just like have fun building your character. If you want to have a character that can shoot fire and like wield long swords with two hands and have melee, unarmed melee damage up. I mean, like you can build your character as you want. I like that. It's not really a skill tree. It's more just like a skill waterfall where it's like you have to take some skills and then you unlock more skills. It doesn't matter which skills you take to unlock the rest. They're just in tiers. So as long as you take 4 tier 1 skills, you unlock tier 2 skills. As long as you take 3 tier 2 skills, you can unlock tier 4 skills. So it's just like you can have a nonsensical character. I like that. It's completely up to you. That's really cool. Because most games are like, in order to unlock that skill, you have to unlock the skill next to it, and so forth and so on. So you can't really just like make your character do what you want. You have to kind of build them the way that the game says you should build them, and you have, as a result, you have characters who are just like, my character has the same set of skills as every other character who has these skills, right? Like, if the only way to unlock the ability to Um, Bundi, it's not a skill tree, it's a skill waterfall. It's you know, like if there's a move in the game that's like, oh yeah, you know, this is the end game move. Like if you want to, you know, explode, right? Where you use the ability, you use the skill or whatever, and your character just explodes. In a normal game, that's like the end of a skill tree. And so if you have that skill, you have every other skill in that tree, and so everyone who has that skill is going to have the same moves. In Craftopia, it's like you don't have to necessarily have any of the other kind of fire skills or exploding skills to have that final skill. You can just have any of the other ones in the previous tiers. So in other words, I like how it doesn't like force you down a certain track. You can kind of like diversify and have a variety of options. I like that it's a game that is, you know, has like farming and stuff in it. It has other parts to it. So there's some skills that are like, oh, it helps you gather wood faster, or oh, it trades health for like, you know, efficiency with you know, chopping trees. So it's like, I like that. I like that it's kind of like, you know, if you want to play a slower game and just do more farming or do more like resource gathering, you can build your character for that. It's not like skills are just for combat. So I like that. I like it. I like how kind of like freeform it is, but I also feel like it has a lot of work to go. Like even though it's getting better drastically over time, it still has a lot of room to grow because it's so big, it's so wide, it's such a wide game. So it's like yeah, it's tough. It's a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend it if you're a fan of like Minecraft or you know, similar survival slash building slash farming games. But it's not for everybody. I think you have to kind of like know what you're getting into. Oh, this is a surface. I thought this was a texture. Okay, we're good. Yeah, this is where why having global access to the renderer is good. Well, I guess we could just do like game.renderer.create texture from surface and then pass surface. Although this doesn't work because it could also error out. So there we go. Okay, so now we can come back here and we can say as image, and then we can say dot surface dot bounds. Yeah. We don't need this. Don't pick a screen anymore. Okay, the screen is the renderer. Render. Or rather, yeah. Oh, screen dot draw rect fill dot rect j dot x y. Right. This takes 32. So okay. Guess we could. Why did I even change this from float 32? Float 64 rather. Let's just keep it simple. All right, let's see. We don't need to do this anymore. We don't need to cast this. We have X and Y, and then we are gonna transform them back into ints to draw them on screen, which is logical. We want to set the draw color, which is going to be 255, 255, 128. And that's it. It's crazy how this is like substantially simpler than how it was before. Oh, this is my bad. There we go. All right, so we're not crashing. that's fantastic news. Let's see if we can get the debug working at the very least. In order to do that, we need to go to main. We're gonna do this. Pass the renderer. Yo, it's not working. Let's see what's going on. So level, drawing. Okay, so oh, we probably need to do this. Hold on. Close those to the right. Yo, let's go. That's definitely a step in the right direction. Definitely a step in the right direction. So now, the thing about SDL2, after coming all this way, there's no camera. There's no camera implementation. So what that means is we need to make our own camera implementation. Oh my god. All right, so let's start off with the player. Let's get the player working, and then we can go from there. So we're not going to draw the shadow. We're going to, let's see, this is largely fine. Lucretius says, is that by drawing around a viewport? Dragging around a viewport? Maybe that's what we'll end up doing. I have to see, because it seems like it has something to, STL has something to render your screen at different sizes, like render things at different sizes. Whereas, oh, I missed it. Call. Oh, I'm getting a call. It's important. It's an important call. 420. Okay. All right. We'll call it here. This is something important I really can't put off. So we'll call it here, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side next time. I'll have to work on this a little bit more off camera, because basically there is something to like change the size of things that are drawn, but that's kind of it when it comes to rendering things like camera-like stuff, where it's like, oh yeah, you know, changing the size of things, actually changing where they're drawn is a different process. We have to do that, and then also centering it in this window is something we have to kind of consider. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I've been SolarLoon, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side next time. See ya.